Welcome to Helping Organizations Thrive. Today I have a wonderful guest who was introduced by Eli Gojiri, Dr. Agio. So welcome, Dr. Agio.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you. I'm in the UK and you're all the way in Greece.
I'm in Athens, Greece. A nice sunny day here.
Yes, it's not so sunny here. So yeah, there we go. We're in the UK. You're in a much better, warmer climate. I'm just going to introduce to the audience who you are, a little bit about you, but I'm sure we'll get into that as I ask you. Obviously, you're a TEDx speaker, you're a coach, you're an author of books, many books, wellness TV host, and leadership trainer. You've got over 20 years of working with professionals to transform them from fear into freedom, and also you apply your own system, and obviously you've got a book that you've got From Fear to Freedom. So wonderful experience, wonderful expertise, and it's a real privilege and honor to have you on here. And I thank you for Eli, who's recommended you or connected us, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you the question, as I always ask all my guests, because I'm curious, I'm fascinated, what people motivates them, is what do you love about what you do?
I love seeing the transformation in people. I actually really love the before and after, you know, through doing my method and applying the techniques. I like to see the before, that's why we grade ourselves on certain aspects. And then after, you see like a 180 improvement in many cases. Or generally, the words of gratitude are, I think that's all the money, as we say in Greece. It's like, it's worth millions to have people call you up to say, Dr. Alkistis, you changed my life. You helped me. I overcame this problem, that thing. It's very fulfilling.
Wonderful, wonderful. I can see you really are resonating and passionate about that. And
Yes.
just be interesting in a concise way of how you
Yes.
got into that. Because I know you were in banking in your sort of early careers.
Yes,
and
a
then
very long time ago.
very long time ago, but you transitioned into this. But that one, you weren't
Yeah.
buzzing with helping people transform them, were you? I guess.
Not really. No, no. My father was a banker. He was the CEO of a major bank in Greece. And, in Greece, because of the ups and downs, you really try to secure your children in a good, safe job. And he said, do corporate finance, banking. And I kind of did it when I was so young back then. I wanted to please him, and I followed that. But nothing you do goes wasted. That's why I would like to say there's no real mistakes as long as you're learning and growing. So the fact that I worked in corporate finance helps me today to coach executives in the corporate world because I have an insight. And so I transformed from banker. I went back to studies and began training and doing leadership training for big companies. So, every life moment has its lessons as long as we're learning and growing.
And did you have like a light bulb moment that made you think, or a circumstance in your life that created that path that was very different from the corporate finance world?
Yes, we began training. They were training us. I was working for Barclays Bank Corporate Finance, and we were getting leadership training. And they were teaching us like things like Dale Carnegie. And, I saw, there's this whole field of leadership training and management training. And this opened my eyes. I think every change we make in life, there are small moments. It's not like one big moment. The first opening was, I can put my love of psychology and philosophy into something like corporate training because I didn't know where to put my love of philosophy and helping people. Didn't quite know. So this gave me an idea. I could be that someday, So
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know you're all about self-leadership, and you're a very strong advocate for making
Yeah.
sure that we lead in ourselves first. And it is important because obviously, leadership is more than ever needed right now in any situation, organizations, in governments. You need to be able to lead really well, but it all starts with ourselves, isn't it? It's that classic: if you can't lead yourself, then why can you try and lead somebody else?
Really,
And to
classic
just
Socrates.
it is
Classic
to just talk
Socrates.
about your sort of, I guess, your philosophy of that in terms of and what advice you could give people right now where they're not struggling or thinking, how can I get myself into leading myself again? Because perhaps they've just got out of it because they've sort of circumstances created challenges that they've just lost the plot, I guess, a little bit.
Right. So, thank you for asking that question. My philosophy and the method I promote through my seminars and webinars is basically Greek philosophy, principles of self leadership that were taught thousands of years ago and are perennial knowledge. They are something, people don't change. We are the same people as the time of Julius Caesar, the same insecurities, ego problems, fears. And in a way, we face similar challenges. We don't have war in the Western world, but we are faced with a pandemic. And we see that the teachings of the Greek philosophers, especially the Stoic philosophers, are very practical and useful as they were in ancient times, even today. You see, we have the pandemic, like they had a pandemic back then, It were people facing huge challenges. So, this is not pop psychology. This is ancient Greek wisdom. This is something that has been tried and tested and works, brings results. And, leaders were trained in this since ancient times, and still great leaders espouse Stoicism as their philosophy of life. It's a philosophy for difficult times. Stoicism is a philosophy for difficult times. That's why they teach it in the US Army, the Canadian Army, British Army. They learn Stoicism. It helps to build mental and psychological resistance.
And this, obviously, you're in Greece, you're Greek,
I'm
and
Greek Canadian, actually. Greek
sorry,
Canadian.
Greek Canadian. And it's
Canadian.
interesting. Obviously, I've spoken to Eli, who is obviously Greek descendant, and
American.
also Con,
Yes.
and they both talk about this, and they've got a real passion about resilience and about helping people through difficult times. Is there something in your culture that clearly, you're part of the Greek culture, but in terms of, do you talk about this wisdom, this Greek wisdom that's of thousands of years? I mean, is that sort of handed down?
Yes, I think Greece has been a country since antiquity that has been challenged from external, attacks, and so the issue of how to deal with stress and anxiety, we have had various tools, and most of them are coming from ancient times, the wise philosophers, the maxims. They have mottos and maxims that are easy to remember and help us. So, for example, one such maxim by Epictetus is, it is not things or events that upset people, it is their perspective of them. I mean, this simple quote, it can radically change your life. It's not things or events that upset human beings. It is their perspective, the way they observe them, the way they judge them, that upsets us. So this small quote itself can change your life, can transform your life if you begin to reframe, if you like, situations that are happening to you.
Wow, that is an incredible, powerful quote of wisdom. Because I talk a lot with my clients where we talk about, that if you get a challenge in life or an adversity, is always to look for the good out of that situation, because there is always something good, whether it's a silver lining, however you want to determine it, or get a different perspective.
This is right. This is an ancient Greek quote, "Ουδέν κακός αμυγές καλού." So everything that's bad has the seed of good in it. It's like the yin-yang symbol. In the bad is the good, and what you think is a blessing may turn out to be a curse. And then what you think is a curse or an obstacle may turn out to be a big blessing, depending on how you choose to perceive it. Right?
Yes.
So this is the training. This is the simple training that we do.
And it's those choices. We have to make a choice, don't we? Whether we take that perspective or we get a different perspective, or how we respond to a perspective, isn't it?
Our decisions, make us. You are in this interview right here out of a decision. You took a decision. I am here out of a decision. We could have had hundreds of other things to do, but we chose this. And this, it's like the golf. You hit. Or you hit the ball, you could hit it just a little angle differently, and you will end up in a different place long term. So our decisions, but first comes the perception. How do you perceive what's happening? How do you process the information and make the best decision? The Greek philosophers will say, virtue, be guided by virtue. Be guided by your ethos. Okay, when you make decisions and base it on your ethos, your integrity, in other words, if you make integrity-based decisions, in other words, found your life on the truth. It's not always fun, but the truth shall set you free, as they say. You have to be truthful with yourself. This is the practice. Am I lying to myself? You have Daniel Goleman, Vital Lies. He wrote the whole book, Vital Lies, and basically saying what Socrates said 2,000 years ago. He said, we are lying to ourselves. In other words, we are deceiving ourselves very often. We have a thought, and it's a judgment. It's a value judgment. Now, where did we build these values? You see a woman, for example, in a miniskirt, okay? In some cultures, they will stone her, they will kill her if she's walking around in a miniskirt. In another culture, they will say, oh, there's a healthy young lady walking by, enjoying life. You see, the two ways you can perceive the same effect. So we say, be very vigilant of how you are perceiving reality. Is it sabotaging you? Is it limiting you? It's all about asking questions. Philosophy is all about asking important questions, being curious. Say, hang on there, is that really so? X, Y, Z, someone takes a fact and say, let's be more specific about that. Let's have some more details before we decide. Or, how am I viewing this? Am I viewing this from a perspective of, self-sabotage? Is this helping me? Is this helping the situation? You're always asking questions. That's the work, actually. Asking questions. Why am I here? Why am I doing this interview? Why should I go to this business lunch? Why? You have to have your why. Even Simon Sinek, in his great speech, he says, you have to know your why. So Simon Sinek is just a footnoting the ancient Greek philosophers again, okay? He's just saying, reiterating what Socrates said. He said, you have to be honest with yourself and be truthful, and this will always lead to good results for you, for your happiness. It might not always lead to the greatest business deal, if you're truthful. You may have to sacrifice a little the grand success, although long-term you will have success, because everything in business is dependent on trust. The Harvard Business Review just did this piece on trust. Trust is about leadership. Oh, thank you very much, Harvard Business Review. Just read Socrates. It's all there, He says, be truthful. Your clients will trust you. Everything is trust.
Mm.
Go ahead.
Wow, that's loads of stuff in there. So it's interesting. You talk about ethos. How I understand what you're saying is that more about, and you talk about the why with Simon Sinek, is almost knowing your purpose, isn't it?
You must know how. Yes.
Know your purpose, and then when you look at situations, when you get confronted by different perspectives, is then making sure you're filtering it, I guess, through your purpose in terms of, and I talk about it a lot where, we all have a purpose and things get in the way, and your purpose doesn't change in terms of what you're aiming to do, what you're trying to do. The how might change and the time might change because things happen, because you can't control everything. All you can do is control ourselves. And I guess it's that sort of stuff. What other things besides asking questions, which you talked about gaining a different perspective? Because that's really helpful actually in terms of reframing and trying to have it. Because at the moment we're all facing with probably many perspectives that we've never faced before in our lives.
That's true. And perhaps it's a good opportunity to reassess your priorities in your life during this time. I find it's a very good time to reinvent yourself, to do a lot of clearing, whether it be decluttering your closets and your drawers and your files and your connections, but also clarifying, what do I want for the next 10 years of my life? Or where do I want to be 5 years from now? Not 10, 5 years. But most importantly, what's the type of person I want to become? It's not always about external goals. It's about, how can I improve the quality of my life? And it's not by buying the Lamborghini. My dear friend, I have a Lamborghini an old one, just rotting there in the driveway, from an old one. I mean, it's just, for me, it's just aluminum on wheels. Do you know what I mean? It has no excitement for me personally. And for the philosopher, the most important thing is not the Lamborghinis or the clothes or the labels. The quality of your life is determined, as said Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome. He said, the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your thoughts. So who cares if you're staying at Claridge's or, you own a yacht? You might be really a miserable case inside. Most of my clients, the millionaires, billionaires, I have celebrities, I have CEOs. You should hear the garbage that their toxicity. And then they ask themselves, why they have anxiety, why they're on pills. I have this famous, I say, Aristotle, not Adderall. Take the pill of philosophy. Take the pill, as they say in the Matrix. Take the pill of philosophy, not the antidepressants. You don't need antidepressants. That's why there was this book, not Plato, not Prozac. If you study philosophy, whether it be Greek philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, Sufi philosophy, if you search for wisdom, your soul will be at peace, not the external thing. So it's all about reassessing your values during this difficult time. It is difficult, it's challenging, but if you're feeling pain, it can be an awakening.
It's an opportunity, isn't it? As you say, you're pausing, you're stopping, you're reassessing, and actually you may have gone a bit wayward on your purpose a little bit because of life. And I've had clients where suddenly the moment of this challenge has created them to reflect a little bit more, and actually to create that opportunity where they go, actually, I need to get back to this and start doing more of this. And they're actually more happier, they're more engaging, they're more fulfilling, and got a lot more energy about it. And actually the situation has created that opportunity. And that's us looking at it from a different perspective, as we've just done that. So when you get your ethos, your purpose, and what else do we need to have in terms of creating that sort of real clarity of self-leadership and making ourselves move forward, I guess?
Well, I think daily rituals are good. Philosophy is good. You know the quotes, you know the motives. What can be some daily rituals to apply?
Mm,
Well, we mentioned the first one is to be constantly vigilant, checking your thoughts, critical thinking. Is this thought that I just had true? We spoke about that, reframing. That is an
mm,
ongoing daily practice. But you can also, for example, keep a journal of sorts, writing your thoughts. And I don't want to hear you are too busy, because if Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, had the time during wartime to keep a journal, you certainly can take 5 minutes to just write a few things about your day and seeing if you're on track, in other words. So,
okay.
journaling is a very good practice. Waking up early and strategizing about your day and visualizing the various obstacles that can come your way. The
Mm,
Stoics call this a meditatio malorum. It's kind of like the power of negative thinking.
mm,
You sit and you imagine, what are the things that can go wrong? There could be a traffic jam on my way to going somewhere. So let me calculate the time it takes to get there. You're always kind of preventing things that can go wrong.
mm,
So there's a lot of talk about positive thinking these days, and it's good. But negative thinking is equally powerful
mm,
to think about all the things that can go wrong. So this is a daily practice, reflecting on your day at the beginning of the day,
mm,
strategizing what you can do. Um, and then there's other things that can help you become more rigorous as a person. And there's a lot of talk about cold showers by the Stoics. And I have to say, I want to clarify that that is to build physical resilience too, because you
mm,
can only be mentally resilient. You have to, even Socrates went to the gym, gymnastics academy gym, lifted weights, not actually weights, they did calisthenics. Anyway, he was physically healthy
mm,
and maintained his health. So the Stoics believe they really like this about working out and uh, pushing yourself to your limits and doing a good workout, having some cold showers, even fasting from time to time.
mm,
Um, just it's not only for the physical well-being, but believe me, it builds confidence when you
mm,
say, you know what, I have strength. I have strength. Your physical strength reflects on your mental strength.
mm,
And a little deprivation from our supreme comfort zone, what we have in the Western world.
mm.
Everybody, got the computer, the couch. They become couch potatoes. The Stoic will be like, get up, stand up, do a workout, take a cold shower. You know, man up. you know, uh, get up off your behind it. And this also helps us deal with medical challenges that we have today. If you're physically strong,
Mm,
you feel stronger mentally, physically, emotionally. So it's a daily practice, we said, reflection, self-reflection, physical activity, and pushing your limits sometime. um, we also have another practice which is kind of exotic. It's called memento mori, which is
oh,
reflecting on your death, the imminence of your mortality. Uh,
really?
even
Wow.
once a day, even once a day. I don't know. Yes, why? People will say this is macabre to think about your death, but it's not to think about the sadness. It's more to
Mm,
say, I have a limited time on earth. Let me get my stuff together. My
mm,
stuff should be in order, and let us not fuss over the small things of life, the media. Because many people, they become miserable from the little things.
yes.
So we say, have a large soul. You're only going to be here for 85 years, 90. Okay, be the best you can be. I mean, um,
Mm.
don't sweat the small stuff. We Stoics will say.
It's interesting that death thing. Not that I reflect on my death in that sense, but it
Yeah.
made me think about a quote that I had many years ago that said, you never be on your deathbed thinking of how much work you're in the office. And it was trying to create that sort of almost visualization. I do a lot of visualization with my clients of going ahead of yourself. It's almost what really matters. When you get
really
to
matters, yes.
thinking back, what legacy do you want to leave? What really matters?
What
And as you
really
say,
matters?
the small stuff gets pushed aside and go, why am I bothering about that when actually when I die, I won't even be bothered about that. And I guess that's the sort of principle of it, isn't it?
This is the principle, what Plato called the view from above. The view from above. Imagine you're in a helicopter, a drone, and you're looking at your life just from that, not from outer space, even nearer, just saying, am I going to just get upset now about this little thing? Is that going to create the toxicity, create cortisol in my body, lower my immune system? Laugh it off, put on a song, that turns you on, and the fine art of not giving a fuck, as the book said, this book about the art of not giving a. He refers to Stoicism very often.
Brilliant.
And yes, our mortality, at the same time, work may be your passion. Let's say this, that, for example, it's not bad to spend time on work, but doing something you love, or loving what you're doing. Because in some cases, the Stoics will say, we don't all have the luxury of choosing, exactly what you want to do. Ideally, you should choose what you want to do. But some people, you're stuck. Okay. That's why Stoicism works for everybody. So even if you're cleaning shoes for a living, you have to be able to love that activity. You have to be able to see it from a place of service, and from a place of connecting with what you're doing on a profound level. So again, reframing so that you can find your happiness. Take action. You know what the Stoics say? It's like the serenity prayer. It says, Lord, give me the serenity to what's it say? To accept the things I cannot change. To have the courage to change the things I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Wow.
Herein lies happiness. Herein lies happiness. This originates from the Stoic philosophy. It's a Christian prayer that originated in Stoicism. And it says, you have to know there are some things you can change, other things you cannot change. Like the weather. You're going to change the weather? No, you can't. You can't. There's no use fretting about it and shouting about it. Just get out your umbrella and,
Exactly. Well, it's that view of resilience, isn't it? It's control things you can control, and then respond accordingly to what you can't control in the best way you can. And that's a wonderful way to have that sense of resilience, is to accept change. And in that context, I'd be interested to understand your view on. I'm going to give you a quote in a minute that I had recently. It's not a new quote of how the Stoics would view this, and it's a bit about mindfulness, really, or a bit about living in the present. They say, if you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future, and if you're at peace, you're in the present. And I'm just thinking, does that tie in with Stoicism, or I just want to?
Of course. Stoicism is all about being in the now. Being in the now, doing what you can in the now, and there's no need to be anxious. Stoicism is based on reason, logic, and reason. Okay, there's love in Stoicism, but it's approached through. But of course, this is the logical thing to do. This is the rational thing to do. We're not about peace and love. Although love is our motive, what we do is we say, if everybody behaved more rationally, we would have a more fair and just world. So this is the markedly difference of Greek philosophy. It's the beginning of reason. It's the beginning of demysticism. And saying you have a problem, okay, let's look at it rationally. Let's be truthful. Let's get to the truth. Okay, the objective truth. This is why Greece is the beginning of scientific method. Okay, Greece, this is the contribution of Greece, is the beginning of the scientific objectivity that if you say, that you can approach every problem is figure outable. It's all solvable. And we have solved. We've gone to the moon. We've gone to Mars. We've invented the internet. We've done magic with science, huh? But so we can solve every problem using goodwill and rationality. Yes, we can.
Brilliant. There is
Maybe I veered off the question. I don't even remember.
It doesn't matter. No, there's some really good sort of real nuggets of wisdom throughout this conversation. And I could listen and talk to you all day long, I think. So just be good to know a little bit more what else you do and offer to your clients, but also how people can get in touch with you as well, because it's important for people to want to connect with you. That's important.
Very kind of you to offer. So I do webinars right now more than ever before. I've been doing webinars for like 10 years, but now it's more than ever before. Companies, what we call corporate wellness, companies need to check in with their employees who are working from a distance. A lot of them are suffering from depression, anxiety. When we invest in the wellness of our employees, of our partners, of our stakeholders, even our clients, you can do a webinar for your clients. It always contributes to increased productivity, increased engagement, increased commitment. So these webinars are very practical. I have the audience engaged. It's not a monologue, it's exercises. We actually do practical exercises that have a before and an after, according to the testimonials. Yes.
Wow, brilliant stuff. And how can people get in touch with you?
Through my website, alkistis.net, or here on LinkedIn, Dr. Alkistis Agio. I'm sure they can find me. I have a group which I invite all your viewers to see, and that here on LinkedIn, it's the Stoic CEO. It's a group, and we upgrade there every day. We upload something, and for motivation.
Brilliant. Yeah. I do appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom and your insight into the Stoic way, so to speak. It's been brilliant. And thank you, Dr. Agio, for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. You're very kind. Thank you.